Julia here from JM Squared Vintage. Welcome back to the channel. I'm here today with a ship with me. These are orders that came through over the weekend, with one notable exception. I'll talk to that when we get to it. But some really cool sales, some really interesting sales, some fast sales, some really old sales, and one of my favorite vintage pieces, like of all time, sold. So cannot wait to share with you like how long they took to sell, what I got for them, what I paid for them, you know, really bring you into that part of my process. But if this is your first time here, if this is the first time we're meeting, first and foremost, welcome. I am Julia, that is my name. We talk all things thrifting and vintage and reselling on the internet. If that sounds like something that you might be into, consider hitting subscribe down below. I would love to have you along on this journey. And guys, I will tell you, it is, I think 95 degrees outside. My house was about 82 degrees an hour ago. So the air will be kicking on and off during this video, and I apologize, but I'm pretty sure I would absolutely melt if I did not have that. So I apologize in advance. I'll do my best with the sound as I'm editing. But as usual, it is Monday. I am crazy stacked for the rest of the afternoon. I've got to get these things packed and off to the post office, then back to finish the rest of my day. So let's start to get into it. Go grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a drink, sit back, relax, and let's get into the shipment. So the first thing we have here, and I'm kind of surprised this sold so quick, is this adorable little girl's dress. I'm pretty sure this is like early to mid 80s, and I'm almost positive I had a similar dress as a little girl. This is one of those things that I picked up just on like gut feeling. I just had a feeling that somebody was gonna want something like this because it's in perfect condition and it is adorable. Mom, if you're watching, let me know. I'm pretty sure I had one that was navy blue with white polka dots with like red detailing. So these are the kind of things that I'll pick up. Like I do like picking up vintage children's wear. I don't find much of it. I should clarify that. I do not find a lot of it in the bins. I don't think it lasts. You know, I think back in the day, a lot of kids' clothes, baby clothes, you know, families were in general bigger back in the day. So like, you know, this cousin would wear the clothes and they would pass it on to like the next cousin who was born. I know a lot of my kids' clothes went to my cousins that were just a little bit younger than me, a few years younger than me. So I just think that these things got worn until they were destroyed. So to find something like this of that age in great condition was kind of a treat. So that's why I picked it up. So I had this listed for $26 for only 2 days, and my sidekick sent an offer for $23, which was accepted. With a $1 cost of the bins, this brought my profit to $17.40. I love finding those little treasures. You know, hopefully she loves it. I'm sure whoever bought it is probably feeling the same kind of nostalgia that I was feeling. Next up, oh, this was one that kind of took a little bit longer to sell than anticipated, but this is a dress from Sunry. And Sunry is sold at Anthropologie and I think other like boutique type places. I want to say that they were sold at Kitson. Pretty high-end, pretty expensive brand. But it's this midi dress in this pretty like salmon pink with little crochet details in between the tiers. It's size 1, so a size small. Skirt is super voluminous, so it's a little tricky to fold. I mean, Sunry, just recently I was looking at a shirt that I liked on the Anthropologie website, and it was made by Sunry. And I want to say the shirt, just the shirt, was $148. And I can't. You know, I thrifted this for $1. So this probably retailed in that like $200 range. I would not be surprised at all. But their stuff is always really nice quality. Their textiles are always really nice and soft. And you know, if that is something that you're into, if you like it, keep your eyes out. I do see pieces pop up on the secondhand market, and for, again, like what you would pay for a new dress that's similar from like Target. So I feel like that's a no-brainer in terms of like what you're gonna get. Because the good thing is, you know, it's Sunry. If you get it and you wear it for a year or two and you don't love it, you can always resell it and you'll still probably get about the same as you paid for it if you bought it on the secondhand market. And that's not gonna be the case with something you got at Target or Forever 21 or whatever, or Shein, but we don't say that name here. We don't say that word. So I had this listed for about 4 months. Again, I thought this would go a little bit quicker, but in the grand scheme of things, that's not that long. So I had it listed for 4 months at $48, and I got an offer for $40, which I gladly accepted. With a $1 cost of the bins, this brought my profit to $29.40. And I hope she loves it. That dress is so stinking cute. This is one of my favorite vintage pieces that I've ever picked up. And I picked this up, I think about a year ago. And this is a vintage sweater dress from St. John. Let me see if I can show you this label. This is, I think, late 70s, early 80s. And St. John is a super high-end brand if you're unfamiliar with it. They make very preppy, kind of evergreen styles. This is a nice knit. I don't think that there's any content tags. There's a couple little pulls in it, but other than that, this is in like gorgeous condition. But St. John is like, again, if you're unfamiliar with the brand, if you think like rich ladies at yacht clubs and you think about what they're wearing, you know, it's a good chance it's going to be a St. John piece. Very, very expensive. I want to say this probably, I mean, this is obviously 30, 40 years old, but if this were being made today, this would retail probably $1,100 to $1,200. St. John is very, very expensive. And it's not a brand that advertises as much anymore, you know, so it might not be in the public eye, but it's got like real loyal buyers. And on the vintage market, with the uptick of like quiet luxury and that being, you know, kind of a trend that's been happening, vintage pieces have started to really pick up and sell. Because of what this is, I'm going to give it a layer of waterproofing. When I have these vintage pieces, I always will put them in a poly mailer before they go in the box if they're not already in a poly mailer, just in case. This isn't like something from Free People where if something, you know, God forbid happens to it in transit, you can turn around and find another one fairly easy. It's vintage, it's luxury, it's designer, it's specific, and it's in great shape. So to find another one that is available now in your size, that's in good shape, in a comparable shape, would really be like finding a needle in a haystack. So I always just exercise a little extra caution when I'm shipping those kind of things. I generally like to keep my plastic usage down, but when it comes to safeguarding some, you know, one-of-a-kind type stuff, I'm gonna do that. So I had this listed for about a year. I had it listed for $98, and my sidekick sent an offer for $88, which was accepted, and I paid $10 for this at one of my local thrift stores. So that brought my profit to $58.38. I mean, really, nothing makes me happier than getting pieces like this back out into the world. Oh. Next up here, we've got this cute pair of kind of like, these are jeans, but like an interesting texture of jeans from Daughters of the Liberation. Daughters of the Liberation is or was an Anthropologie brand. They're kind of ankle length crops. They're this nice like cream color. Interesting pockets. There's a lot of like interesting details to it. I wasn't sure about these. I wasn't sure about the brand when I picked it up. I did get them at the bin, so it's like an easy guesstimate. It didn't look like the comps when I got them home. Like I recognized them for being an Anthro brand, but that was about it. And not every Anthro brand sells well. Like that's just the facts today. You know, there's a lot of saturation. Trends are moving really, really quickly. So sometimes it can be kind of hard to like get your finger on that pulse, especially when it comes to like an aggregator retailer like an Anthropologie. So I gave it a try, and this was one of the ones that I had on my exploding deadline list. I keep a list of certain pieces that I give them like X amount of time in my closet, and if they don't sell, I'm gonna move them along, and this was on that. But I had these for about 6 months, and I had them listed for $24, and they popped off as a full price sale. So go figure. I feel like it's always the brands that I really doubt that I get the full price sales on. It's like clockwork. I don't know why it is, but maybe it's just because they're a little bit rare. So yeah, they popped off as a full price sale. I paid $1 for them at the bins, so that brought my profit to $18.20. And I'm glad that these are going back into use, then back into the donation waste stream. It's the last thing I ever want to do, but again, my storage space is finite. And keep your eyes out. I'm planning a like tools of the trade / studio / office tour. So I'll show you kind of like how I organize my stuff, the stuff that I use in my day-to-day life. And I think it could be kind of interesting. It's close quarters, so I really have to figure out like how I'm gonna do it and make it you know, watchable for you and make it of quality that I'm proud enough to put out on the internet. Next up, this is one from my own closet. This is an old shirt that I have from BDG, and my God, I loved this shirt. So BDG is a house brand from Urban Outfitters, it is not a brand I would recommend picking up. It does not resell for all that much. It's a real classic piece, but like it doesn't fit me anymore, and I'm just like, okay, it's time. It's time to part with this. It's time to let somebody else get it. I knew I was never gonna get a ton of money for it. Again, it's BDG. It's not in my repertoire in terms of what I pick up while I'm sourcing. It probably should not be in yours unless you're getting like new with tags and you're getting it at a really, really good price, because the profit margins on it will not be super solid. But either way, I loved the shirt. I did. I wore it a ton. I just gave it a fresh wash and a fresh press, so it's nice and fresh going out the door. I really love finding those kind of like classic forever pieces. Like that, this shirt will never not be in style. But anyway, I had this listed for about a year, and I had it listed for $18, and it popped through as a full price sale, which I was very surprised about, but very pleased with. And this was owned, so my profit on this was $13.84. And I am super happy. Like, it is kind of bittersweet because this is like one of my favorite shirts that I've ever had, but I'm happy that it's going to a closet where it's actually gonna get some use, because it was sadly hanging in my closet for a long time without being used. Next up is this cute sweater from Talbots. It's funny, I thought that this was linen, and I automatically listed this as linen because it has that like drape to it. It's that nice like open weave kind of shawl front collar. And the gal had contacted me and asked me a couple questions about it, and I start to look at the fabric tag, and I'm like, oh my God. It's a cotton blend. All this time I had this mislisted. Oh my God, I hate even the thought of that. But she was super sweet, and we went back and forth, and she's like, I appreciate your transparency. Like, guys, always be transparent. This is like one of those kind of amorphous sweaters that doesn't fold. It's like trying to fold a fitted sheet. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Like, raise your hand if you have successfully folded fitted sheets and or have a hack as to how to do it. Let us know in the comments below, because teach me your magic. I get it, you put the pocket in the pocket, and by the end it's a crumpled ball because I get frustrated. And I just have accepted that that's how my laundry folding is gonna go from here on out. But if you've got a hack that's easy, put it in the comments, please. Do us all that service. So I've had this one listed for about a year. Again, it's always so fun to clear out some of this old inventory. And I had it listed for $32, and I got an offer for $25, which I was glad to accept. I was ready to move this on. With a $2 cost at one of my bins locations here, this brought my profit to $21.46. And I am like really happy that she asked before I sold that, because I would not be okay. I would not be okay if I sold that as linen and it got there and it wasn't linen and they figured, oh, no thank you. All right, next up here. Now, these are a pair of pants that I grabbed because they are insect repellent pants. So if you are going on, say, a safari in a malaria zone, or if you are an avid birder where you're kind of walking around marshland really frequently, these kind of pants are gonna be your best friends. Like if you are going to a malaria zone and you are somebody like moi, who had a terrible reaction to malaria meds, you need to take the mosquito situation very, very seriously. And these kind of pants, and you'll see it if it says like insect shield, bug repellent, whatever. If they're literally like the fibers are soaked. I can't remember the name of the chemical, but they're literally like infused into the fibers. It's not DEET, but it's something that they use a lot in like Australia and Africa as kind of like the way that we use DEET in the US. They use this chemical, and they work. And again, they're like $100 if you try to buy them new. Now this was an older pair that I discovered. I learned that was like an older tag, but I picked it up because I recognized what they were. And I know, a lot of people that are going on a safari, that's a once in a lifetime trip for 99.9% of people. It's not, you're not necessarily going to want to go and spend $400 on a kit to wear for like the 5 days that you're on safari. It's a lot of money. You're already spending a ton of money to go on safari. So If these were a newer pair, I probably could have gotten somewhere like $35 to $40 on them. Because they were an older pair, I had them listed for $22. I paid $1 for them, so not a big deal. And these are the kind of things that like will usually sell pretty quickly because they are like purpose built. It's not like you're looking for a new pair of jeans and you have 800,000 different options. It's like if you are going on a safari, you are looking specifically for bug repellent pants. So they will move quick. So I had these listed for $22 for just a month and got an offer for $15, which I gladly accepted. With a $1 cost of the bins, this brought my profit to $11. Saved this guy like $100, and hopefully he has a few great adventure days out in those. Next up, this was such a cute find. This is a little faux leather blazer from 7 for All Mankind. And I rarely find pieces like this. You know what? I'm gonna go and get some tissue paper. Okay, I was just saying, it is very rare to find faux leather in the bins in good condition because through its transit process, it goes, it's in trucks, it's hot, it's cold, it's hot, it's cold. And a lot of times when you find any kind of faux leather, it's literally disintegrating. And as I'm saying this, I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to send this out in 100-degree heat. So let me get some tissue paper to at least keep faux leather away from the other faux leather so it doesn't like melt together. And I definitely recommend if you are selling anything that is, faux leather like this, that you do the same. Put a little layer of tissue paper where the layers are kind of pushed together. Takes 2 seconds, worth the extra effort, especially if it saves it. I mean, dead of summer, do it for sure. So I grabbed this and it looked like sold comps on similar jackets. I think that's a few years old. I saw similar comps going in like the $25 to $40 range. So it's not necessarily like lighting the world on fire with a great sales price, but it is really nice. It's 7 for All Mankind. The brand alone sells it, and we're coming up on fall. Despite the fact that it is the literal surface of the sun outside, fall is right around the corner in most places. So I had this listed for a month. I had it listed for $40. I got an offer for $30, which I did accept. With the $1 cost of the bins, this brought my profit to $23 even. She's really sweet. I hope she loves it. Next up, we've got these cute sweats. These were something that my mom actually found. These are from Free People Movement. And I gotta say, guys, Free People Movement pants, Free People pants in general for me sell very, very well. And it's funny because a lot of the times I found pants and I wasn't able to find this exact pair as I was searching, and I'm wondering if it's kind of the same thing that I've encountered before, where it's the bottom half of a set. And anytime I've had like one half of a set from Free People Movement, We the Free, whatever, these things have sold so well. And I wonder if it's because people like don't want to buy a full set. They just want the one half. So I don't know if that's the case, but this had a lot of action on it. And this was, my mom didn't know the tag when she came out. This is when she was out and we went to the bins together. But she picked up on the quality of it, which I'm not surprised because like their terry cloth is real nice. So I had these listed at $36 for just under 2 weeks. And I got an offer for $32, which I gladly accepted. And with the $1 cost of the bins, again, one of my mom's finds, this brought my profit to $28.46. So I hope she loves them. They look super cozy. I love, they have the big chunky cuff at the ankle, which I love. So this is one of 2 very similar dresses that I found. They're vintage from Express. And it's just this cute little like sundress. It's got cross straps that are like adjustable, and then the neck can be scrunched in to be kind of worn however you want. It's super adorable. This is something that I would use 90s nostalgia, vintage 90s, ditzy floral for sure. This is a ditzy floral print. Anytime you have these teeny tiny little flowers, you want to make sure you're using that as a keyword. And this is in like perfect condition. I do really well with Vintage Express. I know not everybody does, but I do. And one of the big things, you gotta learn the tags. You gotta learn, if you see something with company, and that's spelled with a G, if you see something with Company International or Express World brand, that's a pretty safe bet that it's vintage. I wanna say that they switched to like the Block Express tag in like 2003, 2004 from the Express World brand. I'm trying to remember because it was like right around the time that I was in college and we were doing that like corporate clubwear thing, which was a really weird like sartorial phase in our country where everything we wore was designed to go from like office to actual club, not cocktails, not happy hour, like office to club. And it's all coming back in style now. It's wild. So I had this listed for $32 for 2 months. And I got an offer for $25. It's about what I see on these vintage Express pieces. This is a little bit of a smaller piece. I get pretty much 25 to like 40 depending on the piece. So with the $1 cost of the bins, this brought my profit to $18.90. I hope she loves it. This is really in like perfect condition. So it should be a fun little like fashion moment. So next up here, and no, this did not just appear by Cinemagic. I had this drying upstairs. It didn't dry all the way. I just washed it last night, so it was nice and fresh before it went out. But so this is a dress from a brand called Nation Limited, and very expensive brand. I'll pick this up anytime I see it. This did unfortunately have a little flaw. It had like a little pick hole right here, and I'm gonna guess that this was probably from one of those anti-theft tags, and like why stores can't stop putting, like why can't you put it up here? Why can't you put it in a place that's not going to like destroy the look of the fabric? I've seen so many things like that. So this is made of vegan silk, also known as cupro, which is a cellulose-based textile, very similar to like a tencel. It's definitely higher end and it's mostly recycled. So it is not only vegan, but it is like earth friendly. But I will say this is one of like the better examples of a bias cut garment that I've ever seen. So you see the grain here, and I'm gonna turn it to the side, and it's rigid. See how it kind of pops there? But if I hold it from like the hips, so if I lay it out flat, that's about how wide it's gonna be. Do you see how much that gives? So really like, it is a curvy person's best friend. So if you are somebody who is blessed with like curvy hips or a booty, or you're well endowed up here, whatever the case may be, and you're looking for something to wear for like a formal event, if you struggle finding things that fit across your bust, across your hips, whatever, look for something that is bias cut. It will hug your curves in a way, if you've never tried it before, it will hug your curves in a way that will blow your mind. Especially if you're somebody that's got like, big hips next to like a small waist. It's gonna give you like the ba-bam, ba-bam, ba-bam kind of silhouette that everybody wishes they had. So it's a beautiful textile. Cupro I really like. I found a lot of like, I see a lot of like higher end companies starting to use it, but Cupro is a beautiful, if you are somebody who prefers vegan textiles and you want that like luxe feel, Cupro is a fabulous fabric that will give you all of the drape and the feel and the luxuriousness of silk, with none of the potential animal cruelty issues behind the scenes. So I had this listed for just over 2 months and had it listed for $34, got an offer for $24, and it probably would have been more like $45 or so if it didn't have any flaws. Nation Limited is a very, very expensive brand. So with the $1 cost of the bins, this brought my profit to $18.20. And I hope she loves it. That skirt is so pretty. And I love that like light mauve-y color. It's so, so chic. And finally here, this one's going to one of you guys actually. This is a vintage anorak that I found from EMS, that's Eastern Mountain Sports, to those not in the Northeast if you don't know it. Eastern Mountain Sports is no longer around. I confirmed that with some friends of mine in the industry, which is a bummer because it's like a legacy place for the Northeast. Like anybody who learned how to ski back in the day in, Massachusetts, Vermont, they were going to EMS for their gear. So this is probably late 90s, just going by the style, going by the tag, going by the fit. Late 90s or early 2000s. It's in pretty great shape. There's some staining on the back, unfortunately. I was gonna do a wash in Nick Wax anyway, which is a cleanser that I use to clean tech garments, which I've talked about this before, but I will kind of go a little bit more into detail here. So Nick Wax Tech Wash is a cleaner, and you can use it on any kind of fabrics that have what's called a DWR membrane. That's durable water resistance membrane. Think Gore-Tex, think like nylon, think ski pants, right? Or run jackets or rain jackets. So the Tech Wash is going to clean it safely because surfactants in a regular laundry detergent are too strong. So they're gonna disrupt, like never, ever. You pay a lot for Gore-Tex. Do not ever put that in the washing machine with Tide. It will start to disrupt that membrane and it'll break it down way faster than it would be otherwise. So the Tech Wash is a more gentle surfactant, and it's also got an additive in it that'll refresh that coating. So say you've got a like raincoat that you use every year, you know, I would recommend having that on hand just to give it like once a year, once every other year. If it gets dirty, like that's what you use to wash it. There's also something called TX Direct. And TX Direct is basically a wash in waterproofing. So I had already washed this in Nick Wax, and I had reached out to the buyer and I'm like, listen, this is an older anorak. I'm like, do you want me to do a wash in the TX Direct? I have it here and it'll get it to like a reasonable amount of, it's not gonna make it waterproof. It's not gonna turn like something that is not Gore-Tex into Gore-Tex, but it will give you like a reasonable amount of like water resistant. If you want to be selling any kind of ski gear, snowboard gear, hiking gear, I highly recommend you have a bottle of that Tech Wash. I always have it linked down in the description if you don't know where to find it. Again, you can also usually find it at any of your like local ski stores or like sporting goods stores. I would say like REI, not necessarily Dick's Sporting Goods, would carry it, if that makes sense. And it is, you know, it's a good investment to have. It's just, you don't want people getting these pieces and throwing them in the wash and destroying them, right? Like, you know, even on the secondhand market, they're paying up. So I always make sure that they're clean right out of the bag. But if you are somebody who uses it a lot, if this is part of your life, I also recommend picking up the TX Direct. They also have a spray-on version, which kind of like if you ever went skiing back in the 80s and you remember like staying up late at night the night before you went skiing to Scotch guard your jeans before you went skiing, please like leave a comment down below if you Scotch guarded your jeans. So basically the TX Direct is a more permanent version of like a Scotch guard that you would use on like a jacket. And so I had the wash in, so I told her, I'm like, I'm happy to do it. I've got it here. I may as well, you know, I'm just not gonna be able to get it out the door until Monday because you need to let it like air dry. But like I said, I do recommend if any kind of DWR gear is in your life, if you're a runner, if you've got, you know, a kid who skis or snowboards or does anything outdoors that requires like tech fabrics, highly recommend you pick this stuff up. Sorry guys, there's a big dump truck outside. I guess my neighbors are having some work done, so I apologize for any booms and whining that you hear. So if this is part of your life at all, I want to say like they're like $10 a bottle. It's well worth it. Like you will prolong the life of your gear. Sure, there are people out there that like to buy new gear every year, but that's not the vast majority of people. That kind of gear is very expensive. Anyway, so I had this listed at $46. My sidekick sent an offer for $43, which was accepted. It was a same day sale. She was eyeing it up when she saw it in the haul, and with the $1 cost of the bins has brought me to a profit of $31.38, and I hope you absolutely love it. It does have like the exact style that people are looking for right now. And don't forget, if you ever come across something like this, you want to use that term gorpcore as a keyword, because that is a style that is kind of like a core style that people are, you know, into, where they're wearing this kind of technical apparel, and they like to mix vintage tech apparel with ultra high tech apparel. So they would wear like Arc'teryx pants that are like pure function with this on top for a little style. Anyway, hope you adore it. But that is it, guys. That is the shipment for today. It is late. It is super hot, and I need to go venture out into this heat and get this stuff to the post office. So I hope you all have the most beautiful weekend. Happy hunting, and I will see you in the next one.